When your standard exceeds the ordinary, exceptional experiences are to be expected with the Platinum Card from American Express.
How many times have I felt this good? Let me count for you. One.
Just waiting for a thumbs up. Shadow bunnies. All righty. Can you hear me? Test, test. All right, we're good to go. Let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Tracy. Welcome to the Community Center. I'd like to thank you, Michelle, for opening up your space to us. Thank goodness we were able to drive in with no crazy rain, huh? Because holy cow, it's been nuts. I don't know about you guys, but I lost power for 2 days. Thank you, PG&E. Alrighty, so let's go ahead and get started with the Pledge of Allegiance. To the flag of the United States of America, to the republic which stands. Beautiful. Alrighty. So I already did that. So let's go ahead and get into some introductions. If you could please say your name, agency, fun fact about you. No, I'm just kidding. And if you're a commercial sponsor, feel free to give a little spiel about yourself if you'd like. And who wants to start first? Where do we want to start? I'm gonna start over here. Oh no, I'm going over here.
How you doing? My name is Jonathan Pierce. I'm with the City and County of San Francisco, where I'm part of the field crew that handles the radio. And this is
Michael Proscia, also with the City and County of San Francisco, senior contact like Jonathan, but on the infrastructure side.
Katrina Rivera, I'm with Tracy PD.
Good morning, Shelley McMahon. I'm with Cal OES Public Safety Communications and also one of your board of directors.
I am Susie Rivera, retired from Folsom Police Department and your immediate past president.
Good morning. I'm Mandy Montalvo, a Communications Bureau Manager, Elk Grove PD.
Good morning. My name's Barry Driver. I'm with the Sales Group, and I'm a commercial vendor. So if you guys have any video wall applications, you have chasing RF interference, and I support some of your other vendors as well. So feel free to give us a holler or talk to them and see what we can do.
Hi, I'm John Aurelius from Public Safety Innovation up in Sacramento, and we do command vehicles and specialty vehicles. We do the design, build, and maintenance for you.
Good morning, I'm Jackie Barberini. I work at the Redwood City Police Department. I'm your executive council rep.
Good morning, I'm Iggy Brigado with JPS. I'm a solutions engineer, and we design and manufacture communication interoperability and distribution solutions, 100% protocol agnostic solutions. So if you want to talk with your allied agencies, come and go see us. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Manny Vieira. I'm your CCAM.
Good morning. My name is Rudy Torres. I am the Regional Director for JVC Kenwood Government Public Safety Sales.
Good morning. I'm Terrell Harper. I'm with the City of Stockton.
Morning, Jojo Tran with Telepath Corporation. I'm the CEO. Thanks.
Hi, I'm Jamie Johnson with Motorola, and I support PSAPs in Northern California for their call handling and Vesta solutions. And I would invite anybody that's planning to attend CalNINA in March down in LA to stop by and see our new cloud solution for call handling.
Good morning. I'm Larry Weber. I'm with the sales group also, same as Barry. And we specialize in products to the PSAPs and also the radio site products, test equipment products, and in some cases we're a Motorola partner product.
I'm Nicole Culbertson with Tracy PD.
I'm Chrissy Shevlin. I'm with Tracy PD.
Hi, I'm Shayna Marquez with Tracy PD.
Michelle Elmore, Tracy Police, and one of your board of directors.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Mike Beckstrand. I'm with Cal OES, a regional communications coordinator out of Reading, and your current vice president.
Hi, Carl Grover, City of Roseville, and your president-elect.
Good morning, everyone. Liana Toledo, Emergency Communications Coordinator for Cal OES out of Fresno, and Sergeant at Arms.
Jim Lencioni, County of Placer, your chapter PIO. And just as a reminder, we are streaming to YouTube. If you don't want your voices or questions heard, don't speak in the microphone. If you do want them heard, we got to use the mic.
And don't play copyrighted music, even though it's Led Zeppelin's the best. Woo. Alrighty. I'll grab that later. Yeah, thank you all for coming out here. I appreciate you guys making the drive. And it's always good to see people's faces. Before we get into committee reports, I wanted to just briefly mention we have, that's just gone, that paper is gone, that's fine. We have our awards banquet coming up. Shelly will be talking about that here momentarily. Please submit your people. It's going to be a really great night. Just really excited. What else did I have on there? Wow, I'm blanking on everything now. No, I'm not grabbing the paper. I'm not gonna fold like that. I can do it. Yeah, I'm grabbing the paper, dang. Oh yeah, so the why I am a member testimonials, those will still be going on throughout the year. Just basically a couple minute blurb, a couple second, whatever you want. Get in front of the camera, just say, hey, this is why I'm a member. We're gonna be using it as kind of like a marketing promotional. Also in the end of the year in December, we're going to be showing everybody and showing why you are a member, trying to encourage, other people joining and attending meetings. Why do you come to these? Good way to try and get your friends out here, seeing your face on the screen. You can be a movie star. And then last thing for me is the end of the year grand prize drawing. So if you were not in January at our meeting, basically every meeting that you attend, your name's going to be put into this grand prize drawing. That's going to, accumulate to one entry in every meeting you attend. You get another entry, and then in December we will be doing the grand prize drawing. So the more meetings you attend, the more entries you have, the better chances you have to win. Prize to be determined. Alrighty, so committee reports. Shelly, would you like to start us off?
Hi, good morning. Again, this is Shelly. I just wanted to take the time to go over our awards and recognition. So we currently have on our website a submittal for our awards. And so I want to just sort of take you through this to see where it's at. So you go to the NAPCO website, napco.org, click on awards. And then from there, you can get some information on our about our banquet coming up and as well as how to submit for the award. So the banquet's going to be held in Sacramento on the River City Queen. It's going to be a cruise as well as dinner and awards. That'll be open to the award recipients, their significant others, and then as well as there'll be a charge to attend just as a normal member of the chapter. There'll be more information coming up about the cruise and the menu and pricing and things of that nature. But in order to go ahead and do a submission, you can do Telecommunicator of the Year. You can do Technician of the Year. There's about 8 different categories that you can nominate somebody within your agency. And we really want to make this a great event for our communications professionals to honor and recognize their contributions to their work, their lives, the people of California. So please get the word out to your agency, to your for nominations, nominate yourself. I mean, I know we don't want to, but it's definitely something we want to recognize. So please take a look at that. And if you have any questions, you can contact me, or again, just do your submittal online. All right, thank you. Oh, the applications are due by the end of March. So that's when the window closes, and then we'll take a look at the submittals, and then as a group we'll look at the nominations and then make the decision. So you submit them to APCO. Sorry, pardon me. Yeah, our NAPCO. Yes, I'm sorry. You go to our NAPCO.org website. So right here, you go to awards, and then you could hit apply now. And then, for example, here's the page of what it looks like. You hit next, and then it sort of walks you through the process of the name, the agency, and things of that nature. We'll take a look at it, and then we'll go from there. Yes. So, all right. With that, I'll give it back to Tristan.
Thank you, Shelly. Yeah, like I said, it's gonna be a really fun event. And I will say this: if you guys do not submit your people, then Roseville's gonna sweep, and I'm okay with that. So. I'm just saying, if you guys want me to win all the awards in all the agencies or dispatches and whatnot, then we'll win. It's fine. Vanna. Hey, I look great in heels. Don't test me. Manny, since you heckling over there, why don't you talk about committee conference and commercial activities? I'm a great Vanna, okay? Thank you very much.
All right, I have the good part. As most of you know, every month at our meetings we have commercial sponsors, and I believe moving forward for the rest of the year, I think there's only 2 slots left for a commercial sponsor. So if you're a commercial and you want to be part of our meetings, please get in touch with me. And I do want to thank the commercial people for attending today. It's always nice having the commercial people be part of our family. It's one of the things that across the country they don't do, and they always want to know why the commercial people show up at our meetings. And I continue to tell them is because they're not commercial, they're just part of our chapter. So moving forward, do you want me to talk about the show now or after? Okay. Jim? Okay. So great news. We've had a vendor showcase for the past 25 or 30 years, both us and Southern California APCO. A couple of years ago, I approached Southern California APCO and our board about doing a statewide conference. And it's a good thing we didn't do it during the pandemic. But moving forward, this year we're having our first state conference in Los Angeles. It'll be held on September 30th through October 3rd. At the Garden Grove Hyatt Regency. And we sent out an email yesterday, and just in the 24 hours, we have 10 vendors that have already signed up for our show. So we are moving quickly on this, and Jim says put it on the screen. We'll have open registration for our members, probably starting in a couple weeks. So that is the good news also. But for the vendors, I want to thank those. There's a couple in the room already that have signed up, and we're moving forward. Jim wants to talk.
Not really. So yeah, the vendor portal is open. Vendors can register there. This is kind of what it looks like, the basic pricing, some information about it, the general schedule. We try to put as much information on here as possible. And then we also have a link to book rooms through the hotel. So that's all there for the vendors. Very soon on the brand new website that we're starting to promote, which is calapco.org, we're going to have the attendee registrations here also. And then here's the attendee pricing. We're keeping the free option for the exhibits only. We are prices are falling in line and cheaper than similar shows. And if you look at what the Western Regional is this year, we're actually a little bit cheaper than it. And we're also offering member, non-member pricing. So if you're an APCO member, you do get the cheaper pricing. And that cheaper pricing is good until all the way. It's not one day, it's not 1 month, it's a couple months worth of cheaper pricing, all the way through, was it July 1st, Manny? Yeah, so on July 1st, the pricing will go up. But those attendee pricing will open very soon. So we're trying to get that on everyone's radar, on your calendar, so the way you're looking forward to the California show here in Anaheim, or in Garden Grove, technically. It's across the street from Anaheim. And then in 2025, we'll be bringing that same energy, same level of commitment back up here to Sacramento, and we'll be alternating every year. So this is the first year we're really doing this as a joint chapter initiative between Southern and Northern California, and a lot of it's going forward. So you're going to start seeing this website pop up a little bit more, this calapco.org. We already have links to both CPRA and our chapter on there. And then it's basically promoting the conference right now, but we're starting to consolidate a lot of information onto there, because we've decided this year, we've been working towards it for a long time, but our chapters have come together to promote one APCO here in California, even though we are two separate chapters. So that's kind of where this idea came from, and we're pushing forward with it. So.
Hello. Oh, so the only other comment I want to make on this is that to put on a show like this, we're going to need a lot of help, and we do have an actual Cal APCO committee that the Southern California APCO are the chairs for about 10 different things, and the Northern California version is the co-chairs, and that'll just reverse in 25. But we're also going to need volunteers. So I'll look for that also for those that want to volunteer at the show. There'll be some benefits of doing that.
Thank you very much. And I am on that committee for scheduling and everything for the training courses, and I'll let you guys know we're looking to do post-training out there. We're looking at probably that September 30th, and then I think the 2nd, we're not too sure exactly the dates, but we are going to be doing some post-training out there, so get that on your books for that as well. And it's like a mile away from Disneyland. I mean, come on. I got Disney tattooed. I mean, anyway, so Jackie Barberini, would you love to talk to us about executive council and operations? Oh yeah, and legislation. And whatever, you know.
Can I just have the mic?
Yeah, go for it.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So on the legislative side of the House, we are still waiting to have our second meeting, but everything is still scheduled for 911 goes to Sacramento. We don't have the legislative items yet that we're going to be discussing with our legislators. And we did talk about that, the makeup of that day. There was some confusion last year on whether or not all of the legislators were going to be available to us both days, and they are not. They're only available on the one day, but they like it if everybody comes both days, and you get the training and kind of an overview of how the day will go, so that you kind of understand how to move through those big walls and buildings and all the security and all that stuff, and how they kind of usher people in and out of the rooms that you're going to be in, and so they kind of give you an overview. And then the one day is spent talking to your legislators. So if you can make both days, or if you can send your folks to both days, that's great. There's a cost obviously associated with that. They have a block of rooms available at a discounted cost. Obviously, the more support we get in front of them, your voices can be heard, the better off we are at getting the information and our causes, and our needs met, hopefully. So keep those dates in mind, end of April, the very first day of May. So more to follow on that when we get more information. This is a combined event between all of APCO, both chapters, and Cal Nina. So it should be really great for your dispatchers and all of your folks within your 911 center to attend. That's it for the legislative side of the House. For Executive Council, those of you who were here last month, I talked to you a little bit about some upcoming requested changes to the bylaws. One of the big ones was the directors were trying to introduce some skills, knowledge, skills, and abilities into their program, and have kind of a similar vetting process that they do for their executive committee. And that would be like you had to kind of get a certain amount of points in order to be considered for those positions, the director positions, which is a step up from executive council. Because today we're ushered off into a room and we vote based on the region. Our chapter from the West was the only chapter that provided them feedback. We provided them a lot of really good feedback about that process and asked them to kind of shore up that chart that they gave us. And so with all that feedback, I don't know if they got any other feedback outside of our region, but they decided to put that on hold and take another look at it. And they'll come back to us with a better, more improved product. And we can look at it again, give them feedback again. So we won't see that before conference. So hopefully they'll take a harder look at it, and then come back with a more improved product for us. Some other things happening there. Another bylaw that was changed and approved is the accounting one that we talked about last month, where they did approve that, where they don't have to change firms every 5 years like it currently states. So they're going to change that. So if they're with a firm right now that is the best firm based on the product that they're receiving and the cost, then they can stay with that firm for an additional 5 years. And they're not mandated to change. And as long as they're following all the accounting laws and best practices, they can stay with the current firm. So that was approved. Some title changes, movement at National. Mark Cannon, who we all know, was the Deputy Executive Director. He was changed over to Director of Contract of Administrators or Administration, and he's still our parliamentarian. He's very good at that. So he runs our executive council meetings, and he's an expert in that area, so he'll remain in that position. Taking over as the Deputy Executive Director in an acting role is Megan Architect, and so while they search for a new Deputy Executive Director, she'll remain in that role. David Donahoe is the one he kind of runs all the money side of our conference, and they've already brought in $1.3 million in sales and booths and all that kind of stuff in the expo side of the house. So that's really good news for the conference. That's well underway. So that's some positive revenue, which is great. They kicked off the Health and Wellness Summit this week. They're planning another one in the central part of the United States, maybe in Texas in the fall. So look for that if you can get to Texas. It looked like it was pretty well attended online. And so they were pretty excited about that on our call. And then the last thing is a couple months ago, at conference, every year they establish a CEC committee, which kind of forecasts the ongoing conferences, the locations of the ongoing conferences. That's been a little troublesome sometimes because that committee is established from members from across the United States. So as you can imagine, sometimes it's hard to get them scheduled. Sometimes it's hard to get all these folks together in one room and get the travel and all that stuff. So the folks that work at NAPCO requested that be shifted from a committee more into a task force. They thought that would be a better working group for them because they really do a lot of the groundwork at the office. And then so they made that decision kind of on the fly, and that didn't sit well with the committee that was established at the Executive Council meeting last year in August. And so that feedback was given to National from our Western region, and I think across the board. And so Becky Nugent, our current president, did write a letter explaining what happened, apologizing for the lack of communication, but also reasserting that they would have come to that same decision. They did it fast in order to get some work done, but maybe they should have communicated that a little bit better. We were supposed to get that letter yesterday afternoon. I was going to print it and bring it here so you guys could see it. I don't have it yet. They showed it to us on the screen on Zoom, so I didn't really get a good chance to read it. But that, in a nutshell, we wouldn't have been at the same place. It was just acknowledging that they kind of did that pretty quickly. And so it is what it is, basically. It's not going to change. they're going to be a task force, and I don't even think that's been established yet. So, any questions about any of that stuff? That's it. And I do get to brag a lot, just kind of going off what Manny said. I get to brag a lot about all you commercial support that we have here in our Northern California chapter, because it's very rare, and I don't see that. We don't see that. I don't hear that on the executive council phone calls. They don't get a lot of support at their chapter meetings. So for me, I'm really proud of this chapter and all the support that we get from our commercial side of the house. And so just thank you for me.
Thank you, Jackie. Susie, membership and nominations.
Thank you, Tristan. So we have a new member from Citygate Associates, and that is Ralph Brown. We have a Thomas Montoya from Monterey County IT Department. And we have 6 new members from Suisun City Police Department. They are Haley Alexander, Natalie Bascal, Jessica Escobedo, Tiffany Lombard, Kara Robinson, and Ann Sagami. And we have a total of 727 members in our chapter. So our numbers are going up again. And nominations, we talked about the awards banquet. So please, please get your agencies to write those nominations. Thank you. That's all I have.
Thank you very much. Last but not least, Carl, when you have a chance, finance and budget, strategic plan, and programs.
All right, so first up is our Finance Committee report. We started January off with a balance of $159,819.59. Normal income and expenses outside of a payment that we made to Southern California NAPCO for the vendor showcase. We share both expenses and income with them. So our payment to them this last month from that October vendor showcase show was $22,528.88. So there was a significant decrease in our end result in our ending balance in January, but that was expected. We knew that shared payment was coming from Southern California. So our ending balance as of January 31st was $136,476.70. If you want to see any details of those incomes and expenses, I have line items. Okay, programs committee, Manny touched on those a little bit. I'll just go into the next couple months. So next month, March 14th, we'll be in Chico at the the Butte County Search and Rescue Office there in Chico. We will have a presentation from PG&E and how they tie into public safety communications. And then in April, we will be in Napa. There will be our sponsor is Carbine, and our keynote speaker is Greg Glenn from Comba. He will be talking about best practices, FCC, NFPA, and how those relate to in-building coverage and principles. All right, and lastly, our strategic planning committee update. So the board did finalize the strategic plan for this coming year. In general, I will go over those. There are a lot of details within those, but the first general goal is to improve participation at monthly meetings. Tristan hit on one of those new ideas that we had this year to help reward participation with the prize at the end of the year. Where we can, we're going to try to pair our sponsor and keynote presentations so that they tie in, create a more powerful message for membership. And then Michelle has been creating a meeting flyer and distributing that through Cal OES for annual training allotment to help spread the word about what we're doing. Second is to welcome new members. We are working on sending welcome packages to brand new members to the chapter to come to a meeting for free. You heard some updates earlier based around our third overarching goal, which is the joint conference with Southern California. Another one is to continue participating in the state legislation process. So we'll be partnering up with CalNINA and Southern California APCO again this year, participating in the 911 Goes to Sacramento event, and continuing to partner them as bills that we're either supporting or against. Another one was improving chapter awards. As you heard from Shelley earlier, we are changing the venue this year. We're trying to make it really special. So again, I'll just encourage, take 5 minutes to nominate a colleague, nominate a team. If they did something great, if they're just always providing excellent service, take a look at that. It just takes 5 minutes, and that really helps to make that nomination and awards process special. A couple more, updating constitution and bylaws. We are going to look at offering training outside of the California APCO showcase. Annually, when we've held the vendor showcase and training expo, a big day of that, or a day of that, was devoted to training. In years where we're hosting that event in Southern California, we'll still be looking to offer training to our membership here for those that can't travel down to LA. So look for more to come there. And then lastly, marketing meetings. We're working on improving that. As Tristan mentioned, Liana is working on member testimonials. So if you're interested in doing that, talking about why you participate, why you come to meetings, the benefits that you get from it, that would be fantastic. And then lastly, as Jim mentioned, we are streaming to YouTube instead of Facebook to hopefully hit other agencies that were not able to connect to Facebook. So if you have any questions, thoughts, comments on any of those committees, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I'm a member because of the free food. Just kidding. Put that in a testimonial. But it can be that quick. Yeah, so we're gonna go ahead and take a quick break right now. Come back at 10:15. So feel free, grab bananas, donuts, use the restroom, and we'll see you back here at 10:15.
what we do, why we're here, and how we can help. So Telepath is located in Fremont, California, and that's our headquarters. And we serve our footprint kind of like Northern California down in Bakersfield. That's our footprint. And we've been around for 40 years. And, you know, we're here to be a trusted advisor, to be the partner, to lend our technical expertise and a relationship with the manufacturer, and offers a tactical experience. When I say tactical experience, because majority of our staff members and leaderships and our prior public safety, law enforcement folks. So we really understand what you folks do and how it impacts you guys. I'm old school, as I mentioned. Our, contracts is important to us. But our organization is run with 3 code of ethics, right? Be fair, be upfront, and do the right thing. And that's really important, that when we have this relationship and partnership with you folks, things happen. There's speed bumps and along the way. We don't want any, we just want to get the mission done. And we can talk about monies and contracts after the fact, right? And Iggy says family function, right? And I feel very honored to be here with you guys and be part of the family, right? So to the left, right there is Pamela. She's the boss lady, I call her, right? She's the brain behind the organization, commercial sector, the government sector for us. So you will be seeing him much more in the field and also at these type of events, right? So our organizations, like I mentioned, we're located in Fremont, but we own 3 companies, right? We bought the company in 2010, my wife and I, right? And then we bought 2013, we bought Time Slot Trunking, which is carrier-based mountaintop repeater systems that radios are subscribed to, okay? Then we have AirCall. AirCall is in Turlock. They are responsible for the Valley business. We kept a local name there, but all 3 organizations all rolls up to Telepath in Fremont. So our role, right? So we have 2 roles that we play. The first role is the manufacturer rep role, the MR we call it, representing various different product suites, your subscriber radios infrastructure, your Motorola's, your JPS, and all those. We're partners of theirs, right? So we're the manufacturer reps, right? Then the second role that we play is we're the system integrator and service provider. That's probably one of our biggest strengths. Let's talk about the MR program. So the MR program, we provide the Apex subscribers, the Astro systems, the dispatch console, LPR videos, that type of equipment, right? So we're a manufacturer rep. Where you benefit working with us is utilizing the same contract pricing that you have with, say, Motorola, okay? So we will help facilitate you to acquire those equipment either through a county or regional radio system contract, if you would, or help you find other purchasing vehicles, Sourcewell, NAPCO. So we can help sort throughout all that to help to either push the easy button for you folks to acquire equipment. Then as a system integrator and a service provider, right, we specialize in deploying and servicing all of your gear, right? From a system design, we can assist you with the system design, or a lot of times, we work with the manufacturer to be the boots on the ground to help you design it and commission it. And we also have a vehicle outfitting business I think this is a pain point for a lot of the agency, right? So we can outfit your vehicle from front to back. Okay, a lot of times in the past, it's a headache, right? Oh man, I got to acquire the car. That's a headache in itself. And then you got to get the lightings. You got to get the laptops. You got to get the radios. You got to get all these specialized equipment. It's a headache. I mean, before you used to have a couple or 3 people within your team to do this. Now is down to you. So we can be that partner to help you source artists out from A through Z. And of course, we do your factory support and maintenance. And this is critical when it comes to firmware upgrade. Today's radios is not like the analogs back in the days, right? Today's it's a digital radio that requires security patches, firmware upgrades, and keeping track of all those is a headache. So we have programs that help you not only to provide you with listings of all your radios that requires security patches, and we are the manufacturer authorized to do so. Okay. Then the SMA, our service maintenance agreement team, right? So we have field service folks. It's 24/7, and it's 15 minutes call back from your assigned tech, and 2 hours boots on the ground. And then we have programs that we got unlimited breaks and fixes, right? And this is the other thing that as I visit with a lot of the partners, the agencies, you folks don't have as-builts of your system. As strange as it sounds, you don't have as-builts. And as-builts today not only tells you where the equipment's located at, but what about the IP addresses? When things go down, right? It goes down all the time. And you scramble, you go, man, I don't know who to call. It's crazy as heck, right? But that's the kind of things that we really pride ourselves to work with you guys to help do the as-built. And so you have that, even down to the keys, the combination, the passwords, alarm codes, oh my gosh, right? So that happens all the time, right? So every second counts. The food court awareness, right? So even though Motorola is a majority of our equipment that we support and sell out there, but we also sell other manufacturers. The Tates in the world, the Harris, the Kenwoods, right? The Avtech console, the Telex consoles. We are all certified in those product suite, and that allows us to have the food court awareness, not just because we're a Motorola shop, right? We walk in there and, you may not have all Motorola. And because we have expertise in those areas, it allows us to be a better service provider to you guys. So you're not doing this number. Oh, I don't know, it's that manufacturer, this manufacturer, right? So we have to, it gives us the ability to understand your system holistically, right? And also ensure the functionality across the system. That's what makes the true system integrator. Vehicle outfitting, I mentioned that. We can do everything from patrol vehicle, detective vehicle, to the command vehicle. And of course your K9, that's my favorite. K9 vehicles, right? So we can do pretty much everything, and also tinting of the windows. I mean, as silly as that sound, how many times have you had to take a car to another shop to do tinting, right? We do it all in-house, one-stop shop. Talking about why telepath exists, right? So I tell my people, it's very simple. We all exist for 2 reasons. First reason is for safety. The second reason is productivity. And the fact that we want to be your one-stop shop and be able to sit down at the table with you folks and talk about your roadmap as a whole, not just, hey, what I got going on today. I got, deployed such technology. Well, let's step back and let's talk about the end game, your whole roadmap, okay? And we want to be there at the round table and trusted advisor. I'm going to shift a little bit and share this with you, right? So we have the government sector is part of our business, and we have the commercial side of our house. The commercial side of our house is very similar to what you guys do. Okay? And for those of you who are about to retire or thinking about transitioning out, life after public safety, there's a lot of you folks, your counterparts or your colleagues, ended up on the commercial side. Commercial side to me is like Apple. It's one of my customers. I take care of them, for example, globally, right? So not just the Apple stores, we don't do the Apple stores. Though I love the Apple store, just got my new watch here. But we do the campus, and we take care of them globally. So just think of a campus like a city. You've got repeaters, you got dispatch consoles. I mean, if you ever had an opportunity, look me up. I'll give you a personal tour of their GSOC, they call it, Global Security Operations Center. It's crazy. It's like a theater, okay? I mean, you've got dispatch consoles everywhere, right? The analysts, they call them. So, but they're very intense, right? So on that side of the house, why I'm sharing that with you is they do everything you guys do, but the intensity level is crazy. So it has taught me a lot about the quality of work, certain expectations of deliverables in a timely manner. And every second they're down, man, the phone is off the chain, right? So that's why I want to share that with you guys, right? So we are at the table. We're understanding where they're going. Where's the next factory? What's the next big whiz bang thing they're doing? And what part do we play in that big pictures for them? So we want to be at the table with you guys, right? So, we want to provide, we have SMEs on staff, subject matter experts in helping you with, your program management, as you roll in project out, assist you in that. And we could be the troops on the ground to help you with that as well, right? And then we have SME that are in compliance to help you with the compliance, right? For example, R56. Those of you who are technical, it's huge. And a lot of our sites are not R56. I mean, your grounding is really important. I mean, you don't have the expertise on staff. I mean, it takes a lot to get an R56 person trained up, okay? So we can assist you with that. And we can talk about, helping you bridge that civil, I call it civil work, right? To work with your facility guys or construction guy to get that site up to R56. And the consoles that you folks sit in and dispatch, R56 is really important. Oh man, how come I'm getting this buzz? How come I'm getting this interference and all that? It's R56. And then we're talking about encryption. It's a moving target, right? Obviously, right? But I think it's important that we sit at the table with you folks and go through the discussion. Hey, what do you have right now? And if someone comes down and says, hey, you have 30 days in compliance, you want to be ready. You want to know your option. What's my option A, B, and C? Any equipment I got to swap out, and so the chief can have a better information to make a decision and go to city council and have those budgetary numbers at the ready, right? Certification. So this is like industry certs, right? So most of our guys are P25, and about 20% are commercial certs, right? So P25, we have everything from the system to subscribers, right? Subscribers, how that plays for you folks here is that you have a fleet of radios. We can help you program it, maintain the encryption, and know who has the radios, right? We could have those programs, right? If we have PMPs, which are project managers, and everything from technical to sales, equipment, knowledge base to share with your team. Hey, what does this button do, right? Then we have electronic certifications, right? The ETA I'm very much into knowledge base and continuing education. We're constantly motivating our people to take their education higher. We have a relationship with San Diego, UC San Diego, right? So to help recruit and build technician. I don't know if you know this, but finding a technician today is impossible. So you almost have to build them, right? So, you know, my wife says the radio tech is not a sexy field of work, right? Because you'd rather be an IT guy, right? So we have to build them. So we work with those education outlets to help breed the technicians, right? Then the certification, sorry, Iggy, I don't have you on here. I feel really bad. Drinks on me next time. So, you know, these are just some of the product suite that we are certifying, right? So I'm sure you have some of these in your shop, right? We're talking about government customer or partners, we call them, right? So we take care of the federal folks, state and local, and a lot of specialized task force as well. And the commercial side, these are some of the folks that we work with as our customers. So here's my contact information, and Nathan's as well. I'm going to open up for questions. Any challenges you folks are having, feel free to, yes.
Used to do Viavi, right, Manny? So he probably has been into your place, I'm sure. But, you know, the biggest thing we used to promote, obviously, and try to get our dealers to do was to do what? To align all of these Motorola radios that you guys buy. And my question is, are you guys having contracts that you're aligning a majority of the radios on a contract basis for some of these agencies?
Great question. So we have seen a surge of leveraging service contracts, right? So number one, the radios, as you know, should be going through a PM process once a year. I mean, that's good practice, we call it, right? Making sure the frequency, putting out good power, that's a must do. And to do T&M, we call it, time and material, it's expensive as heck. Last time I checked, fill rates is $2.25 an hour. And to touch a radio, those of you who are techie, at least half an hour to do firmware upgrades and set up on your service monitor, Aeroflex or Evavi, they call it today, right? To do that, it takes about 30 to 40 minutes a radio. So do the math. So to do that on an SMA, I'm just giving you an example. An SMA, maybe 150 a year, includes break and fix. That means that if a radio comes in and it's broken, we'll fix it. Okay? That's that, call it $150 as a radio a year. Now, $2.25 an hour to PM check the radio, not broken. So mathematically speaking, it's an easier number. And you get the white gloves service that we provide. What that means is we come to you, pick up and drop off. I hope he answer your question. So it's very important to have that. Yes, sir.
It's handy enough that I have the microphone with me. I saw you had Lucasfilms up there as one of your.
Yes, I love it. Yeah. So, did you have a question or? Oh, okay. Yeah, Lucasfilm. I love it. That he's a character. So we were able to go. If you are, you know, San Francisco, there's that Lucasfilm is in San Francisco, right? And you walk in there, and you see all the Star Wars. You see the filming at the the movie set, right? where the camera comes in and record. It's amazing. Yeah. I'll take you there. Well, I hope so. Uh, uh, we do his home, right? George Lucas. But I'm shooting for Disneyland next. I'm working on it. My little, I have a little son, 7 years old. Man, he's just, when we get that. I got Roblox though, so he was so happy. Any other questions? Well, very humbled to be invited today. I thank you very much, and hopefully I can work the room and shake all your hands, okay? Michelle, thank you again.
No, I don't need it. And you've been in the Bay Area for a long time, and we've all been around you and known you forever. As you see, we do a lot of stuff across Northern California. So if you have the opportunity to recommend somebody that, or a place that we could have a meeting that, you support, because it'll be beneficial for you and us, please let us know.
Yeah, as I'm sitting here this morning, I'm thinking about the relationship and getting the partnership going, right? So two things that I would like to help, right? Number one is encourage my colleagues, the manufacturers, right, in joining this, participating in your meetings, right? Knowledge, sharing the knowledge. And I think it'd be great if you folks can filter through your leadership and send me a couple ideas. Hey, we want to hear about this. We want to hear about that. And I tell you, I think coming from me as the vendor in their boat, my voice will be more effective. I say, hey, our committee membership would like to learn more about this. Can you participate? And I will commit to do that, right? And number two here is in terms of facilities, I think it'd be great if we could get you guys to be at one of the commercial space. I don't know, pick a place out, AMAT, Apple, whatever, right? Apple would be great, right? And have it there. Have it there and, get a tour of their places and also let's start this bonding, if you would. Let's get that bridge going. I think it's real important because I've been in your shoes. I know what's up, right? And it makes it, by the way, I use the hell out of that. When I walk into the Apples in the world, they pay attention. And I'm also be able to bring in the local agency that's in their footprint for the partnership, whatever they need to do. Open up that door, right? So that's what I'm committed to do. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, I'll be taking you up on that tour.
I know you will.
Don't be jealous. We're going to go on a networking break now. We'll reconvene at 11 o'clock. All right, test, test. Can you hear me? Yeah, I can hear myself. We're going to go ahead and get started back up, everybody. So if you make your way to finding your seats, I would appreciate it. Oh, no. I zoned out, and for some reason I was staring at you guys, so I'd like to apologize for that.
You're staring at us?
Because I just was like looking around the room and my eyes zoned out.
Oh, it's because we're so pretty.
I get it. It's obvious. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started. We're going to get to hear from Troy Stein from Without Permission. So without further ado, the floor is yours.
All right, right on. Hey, good morning, everybody. Can you hear me okay? Everybody hear me okay? Right on, good. I am thrilled to be with you. My name is Troy Stein, and I'm the CEO of an organization called Without Permission. And how many of you have heard of Without Permission before? Is anybody, a few of you? Wonderful. Without Permission is an organization that serves the Central Valley, and we have one sole lane, and that one sole lane is to eradicate sex trafficking of our children within the Central Valley. And so I'm going to give you some information today that will hopefully help you in your professional career. It really takes a collaboration of all of us between law enforcement and the private sector, parents, churches, schools, educators, the medical personnel, all of us collaborating together to end this wicked thing. Now, you might think that sex trafficking is something in a foreign country, a third world country, that happens all the time. You're going to discover some things over the next 45 minutes or so that I am privileged to share with you today that might be rather alarming. Bringing it back to the surface again. If you haven't, we're informing you today that this is a critical issue within the United States and particularly on the West Coast. And so together we can do something to eradicate this and to end this this thing together. Now in trafficking, there are really two lanes. The one lane is labor trafficking and the other lane is sex trafficking. Our sole focus at our organization is to eradicate sex trafficking when it comes to children and young adults within our communities. A little disclaimer. Some of what I'm going to share with you today is probably going to be difficult if you have a family of origin issues, if you have child abuse in your past, or you've had any kind of trauma that you've experienced. If it's difficult for you, you're not offensive to me in any way. If you need to step out of the room for a minute, just take care of yourself, because we work in a pretty wicked domain, and my team of 18 full-time staff members, 45 navigators, and over 500 volunteers are collaborating together to do the very best we can. And again, we're not in the lane, a lot of organizations, and we collaborate with them, but we're not in the lane of elder abuse and child abuse and prostitution, and we don't do multiple things. We only work on one thing, and that is this biggest epidemic in the United States that is oftentimes unseen and not talked about because it's too difficult for us to deal with. So here we go. Y'all ready? Okay. I hope this will give you some information that will help you. Without permission, a little bit information about us was established in 2010. Our mission is to restore the victimized, to educate our youth, to prevent exploitation, and to attack the lies that drive demand. And Without Permission, as well as other organizations, we kind of focus on 4 major pillars. And I'd like to give you a brief rundown of what those are. Pillar number 1 is the pillar of prevention. That's what we're doing today. We're having the conversation. We're keeping it at the forefront. I'm constantly doing presentations with any community organizations that we can, government personnel. We're doing trainings and so forth, just trying to keep this information at the forefront of the conversation so that we can pay attention, so that you can understand some flags and tactics of traffickers that are within our communities. And so we work in this area of prevention. We're in the schools. We have a program called #NotAPriceTag, where we work with the schools to try to educate our teens, particularly so that they can identify maybe peers that might be exposed to human trafficking, as well as themselves avoid falling into the trap. Every time, 100% of the time, victims have been targeted. They are targeted, they are groomed. That's how it works. So human trafficking in the realm of the United States of America is not the snatch and grab that you might think, where a child is kidnapped, they're thrown in a container, they're shipped across the globe, and they're sold for sex. That does happen, but that is not the way it happens 99% of the time in the United States. It is very, very focused, it is very evil, and it is very much needs to be eradicated. So we work in the lane of prevention. We also work in the lane of restoration. That's where most of our resources are spent. We restore the victimized. So when a child has been rescued, the police do their job, and we're so grateful for our relationships that we have with the law enforcement agencies all across the counties that we serve. One second. We also work with the district attorney's office. We work with probation. We work with, we have offices in the family justice centers. We also work with juvenile hall, where we can identify kids as they've been arrested for one crime. We discover, oh my goodness, they are being trafficked as well. And so while they have to pay the penalty for what it is that they've done, we have an opportunity to restore the victimized. The third thing that we focus on is justice. I'm constantly working with our district attorneys. We're trying to put as much pressure as we can on our legislators, state senators, and so forth, to try to pass legislation that will make the result, the prosecution, the penalty for this be very, very stiff. We want to lock these traffickers up for a very, very long time. And so we try to really encourage that and lobby for that. The final thing is we just added this 4th pillar. We're so excited to share with you that we added residency to this. We were just given an 18.2 acre ranch, given it in the Stanislaus County in an undisclosed location, where we're now renovating and doing a bunch of things on the 2 homes. We're able to now house human trafficking victims, which is a big deal. We have had for many years Justice House. It's a play on words, but it's a home in undisclosed location in Modesto. It's kind of the central part of the valley, where human trafficking survivors get to come for services, and we get to serve them and offer restoration tools, tips, counseling, life skills, so forth. And it's a long road for many of these kids, and we're standing in the gap with them for as long as it takes. All right, why do we serve? Whoa, there we go. Why do we serve? The sale and purchase of kids, of children for sex, is the second largest illegal industry in our country and has become a multi-billion-dollar industry that's expected to surpass the illicit trade of guns and narcotics within 10 years. This statement was written by the Department of State in the year 2008. That's been about 16 years ago. This has long since become an absolute true fact. The number one illegal industry in the United States of America, hands down, bar none, is trafficking, is human trafficking. And it is not talked about quite as often as it should be, but it absolutely needs to be at the forefront of our conversations regularly. Some national data, just to share with you. 51% of the individuals that are trafficked are under the age of 18. 51% of them are our kids. National data would say that the victims typically originate, you're going to hear two words from me, victims and survivors. We tend to use the word survivor over the word victim, but the victims originate primarily in 3 different countries: the Philippines, Mexico, and hands down, bar none, the largest supplier of product for the human trafficking industry is the United States of America. These are our kids. They live in our neighborhoods. They go to our schools. They attend our churches. And we need to pay attention to the flags and tactics of what is actually happening so that we can help prevent those that are being exploited or about to be exploited. This is we like to compare California to Texas, only because they're 2 large states geographically and population-wise. As more Californians move to Texas, well, it's becoming about the same population-wise. And they both have an international border, correct? You can't have the conversation of human trafficking without having the conversation, or at least including it in there, with what's happening with all of the immigrants that are coming to the United States. And we're not left or right or blue or red. We're not talking about that. But what we are trying to address is our child welfare system was already overwhelmed. And now when you get thousands and thousands of undocumented children coming, they need to be taken care of. They need to be protected. Regardless of what you think about it, we need to take care of kids. They're the most vulnerable of all in society. And traffickers, oftentimes through cartel organizations, are organizing the sale of kids. Why? Because the number one purchaser of children for sex on the globe is the United States of America. And so we've got to change our culture. We've got to do something. So, well, by the way, California gets 66% more calls to the human trafficking hotline than the state of Texas does, even though Texas has a much larger international border than we do. Something wrong with this, and you're right in the center of this in our great state. What is the motivator? What drives this? The demand is driven by money. This is a $150 billion a year industry in our nation. Now, I have a hard time concentrating on what that amount is, but we start thinking about large corporations globally like Facebook. They generate $70.7 billion a year. Selling children for sex in our nation is generating more than twice as much as Facebook does globally on an annual basis. It's a supply and demand. As long as there's demand for sex with children, there's going to be a supply of children to meet the demand. So we've got to change our culture, and I think we all agree. Okay, take a deep breath. Here we go. I'm going to read to you a couple of laws that you may or may not be familiar with, and we'll kind of get through these rather quickly, but it sets the stage for what we're talking about. In the year 2000, the Trafficking Victims Protection Act was passed. Now, like for me, that doesn't seem like that long ago. For some of you, it might seem like a long time ago, and others it doesn't. But in reality, it wasn't that long ago, and the Trafficking Victims Protection Act protects those that are being trafficked. There's 2 paragraphs. We're only going to look at the top one because it has to do with sex trafficking. The bottom one has to do with labor trafficking, which is also an epidemic, but our lane is sex trafficking. Federal law defines severe forms of trafficking in persons as sex trafficking, in which a commercial sex act is induced by force, fraud, or coercion, or in which the person induced to perform such act has not attained 18 years of age. This law is important because until this law was passed in the United States of America, if you sold another human being for sex, whether they were under the age of 18 or over the age of 18, it was a misdemeanor. This law made it a felony in the United States that if you sell another human being for sex, now you're going to do some prison time. You're hopefully going to be prosecuted at a much higher level. There have been many more laws that have been passed since this time that have made the penalty higher and higher and stiffer. The unfortunate thing is those that are trafficking, these are the ones that are selling the kids, not the purchasers, the buyers, but the ones that are selling the kids are the higher level of criminal. These are the ones through force, fraud, or coercion are getting our kids into this game. And unfortunately, it's difficult to prosecute them because it's hard to get the victim, the survivor, to testify against them because they have been so brainwashed into believing that this person will have them, their sister, their parents killed no matter what. And so it's an evil, vile industry. This law was very, very important. I want you to point out a few words on here. Force, fraud, or coercion. Those are kind of legal jargon terms we might use. Violence, trickery, or manipulation. They've been brought into the game through violence, trickery, or manipulation. And another word I want you to see up there is commercial. What is a commercial sex act? Simple, it's anything of value in exchange for a sex act. A homeless runaway. It feels like they've got to get out of their situation, whatever it is they're in. They run away, and now they're hungry, and they're in the park, or they're under the underpass, or they're at school, wherever they're at, and they're hungry. And somebody offers them something good. You want a cheeseburger? I'll get you a cheeseburger. All you got to do is take off your shirt. Let me take a picture. Sexual exploitation, it happens. Anything of value in exchange for a sex act. A coach says to a player, hey, you want to play in the game on Friday? No big deal. I just need you to do this for me. Go back to the homeless runaway again. They're cold. It's rainy. It's cold outside. And, hey, you don't have to sleep on this park bench. I've got a couch. Why don't you just sleep on my couch? That sounds like the best option of a bunch of really bad options. So they do. And they go sleep on the couch, and they're grateful until 2:30 in the morning when he shakes her and wakes her up. So you didn't think this was free, did you? The Wi-Fi password. You give me the Wi-Fi. That's something of value to that team. I want to check my emails. I want to stay in communication with people. And I'll give you the Wi-Fi password. You just got to do this for me. All four of these are examples, real examples that our survivors have shared with us, that this is where, this is how low they were in their life, that they exchanged something. Now, what in the world gets a kid to exchange a sex act for a cheeseburger? Well, when you're that low, my wife and I have been married for 34 years. We have 4 daughters. We adopted 3 boys. We have 7 grandchildren, 5 or 6 granddaughters and 1 grandson. We're grateful we have a wonderful life. And on the outside, a lot of people might say, hey, they've got a picture perfect house, picture perfect life. It must have had a great upbringing. My wife her dad was a police officer. He was an evil, terrible man. He abused her physically and sexually over and over again, and there's nowhere she could go because he would use his service revolver to threaten her. Where are you going to go? Wherever you go, I'll find you. I'll hunt you down. So she's a kid. She's 13, 14, 15 years old at this time thinking, I don't know how I'm going to get out. Miraculously, she got out of the house. It's a big, big story, but she got out of the house, and the system put her into foster care. The next 3 foster homes were equally as abusive to her as her family of origin. So as I trace this back some 3.5 decades or longer before we met in high school, I think to myself, well, in the industry that I'm in now, she was a candidate to be a runaway. I mean, she couldn't trust the police in her perspective. She couldn't trust the system. CPS put her in some bad homes. She couldn't trust family or parents because they allowed this to happen. She couldn't even trust the neighbors because nobody said anything. Nobody noticed anything. She couldn't even trust the church that she had gone to because the people in the church were aware that something was wrong in her home for years but didn't say anything. So here's this girl who was a candidate to be a runaway. Had she run away, stats tell us today, right now in the state of California, that a homeless runaway, a teenage runaway, will be approached by a trafficker within 24 hours of being homeless. That's how focused they are on their product. If they don't have product to sell, they can't make the money. So they're looking for kids that have excessive vulnerabilities. Had she run away, she might have fallen into the trap of human trafficking, because she would have had to have some food to eat, some shelter to have, the low-level Maslow's hierarchy of needs, like physiological needs, have to be met before you can move up on the chain. And I just tell you this story to help you understand that it's not these kids' fault. This next law helps us understand that in California SB 1322, this law, not until the year 2017, did it decriminalize prostitution for anybody under the age of 18. What does that mean, Troy? That means there is no such thing as a child prostitute. There is no such thing as a child prostitute. You're like, yeah, but that 16-year-old's choosing to do what she did. You might think that. She might act like she's all into this thing, but she doesn't have the brain capacity, the bandwidth to make those choices as a child. She is a victim of a crime and somehow got coerced to get into that game. And our job is to collaborate together, whether they want the help or not. They're not at an age where they understand fully what it is that they're doing. I could share with you story after story of survivors of human trafficking that at the time thought they wanted to do this because they were coerced and manipulated into it. But as they grew, just like as we grew, when you became an adult, you put childish things away and you look back on your childhood, your teenage years, and you go, why was I so stupid, right? Well, in this case, it's a long-lasting ripple effect that will affect them the rest of their lives, and we need to do something about this. This law, decriminalized law enforcement now, is required to immediately report any suspected commercially sexually exploited child to the county welfare office. We are the ones who, in our area, also get those calls through our 24-hour crisis support line. 24 hours a day, law enforcement oftentimes use that crisis support line. We think we've got a CSEC kid, commercially sexually exploited child. Can you come? We show up within 2 hours. We're there, give them a compassion bag, and we have trained personnel that work with those kids and try to get them in a restoration process. This is the Polaris. You might be familiar with Polaris. Polaris is the National Human Trafficking Hotline. So when people call in to the national number, they track this. And so where you see the bright red, that would be where the majority of the human trafficking hotline calls have come in. You might expect on the East Coast, New York and New Jersey, into Chicago, down to Miami. You might expect, because they're large cities, they've got international airports, they've got ports, shipping ports, and so you might expect that. And you might expect the southern portion of the United States to have higher because of the border. But I want you to look at California. Some of y'all from Southern California. Southern California is a real hot spot for human trafficking. Los Angeles, the whole LA area, as well as down San Diego. You might expect Vegas, of course, is super bright red for human trafficking. This is of children primarily. But what I want you to see is the Central Valley, where you're sitting right now. This is not, I mean, the Bay Area, yes, but the Central Valley itself is a part of a large circuit for human trafficking. Why? Well, because, I mean, just look at the commercial side of things. All over the place are all kinds of warehouses that are being built, that are distribution warehouses. So if you brushed your teeth this morning, you participated in trafficking because that toothbrush was manufactured somewhere. The product was moved to a distribution warehouse. It was then transported to a retail establishment where you purchased it. Product was moved, trafficked, so that you could purchase the product. Human trafficking is the same way. Traffickers move the product, human beings, with an intent to sell them to a purchaser. And so right here in the Central Valley is a big part of that circuit. Let's take a look at what I mean by this circuit. There's the national circuit, there is the statewide circuit, and then there is the local circuit. And so we'll just kind of look at these three briefly. The national circuit, now I told you about international ports and airports. It's now, of course, more difficult to move children under the age of 18 outside the country without proper documentation. So human traffickers are recognizing that the sale of children for sex within the United States is better for them because the demand is higher here than anywhere else on the globe. And so they're moving. How do they move their product? They move their product on our interstate systems, which is why we work with law enforcement, highway patrol, trying to educate and make sure they know when there is a stop, they're able to identify some flags and tactics and so forth, that maybe they can press in a little bit more and see if we can rescue some of these kids. So the I-80 is a big one from the east to the west. The I-10 along the southern border is also a large portion of the national circuit. And then the I-5 that runs from Canada all the way down to Mexico is a part of that. Well, right in the middle, where on the west coast, where these interstates intersect, on the 5, right in the center of that, is the Central Valley. So we're right here in this part, which is why moving product, including moving human beings, that's part of the national circuit. I don't know, do we have any volume on this? Can I play a video, or does anybody know? You know what, I know, I put you on the spot. Let me just try, okay? So this would be the statewide circuit. If it doesn't play, it's no problem. Let's just see if you guys can hear this.
Missing children recovered in Southern California through a multi-agency investigation. Gina Silva spoke with the FBI tonight. This is the latest on the Operation Lost Angels. We consider modern-day slavery. Young human trafficking victims, some forced into prostitution, are now safe and away from their abusers. 33 juvenile victims, ranging in age from 13 to 17. And in that, we were able to identify that at least 8 of them have been sexually exploited. That is something that we take very seriously. Operation Lost Angels started on January 11th by teams of local, state, and federal agencies. Christy Johnson is the assistant director in charge of the FBI Los Angeles field office. The fact that it's a surge and to have recovered 33 child victims is a huge success. Johnson says in most sex trafficking cases, the victims know the person forcing them to sell their bodies. Sometimes people they know. Sometimes people in their circle of friends or family. Sometimes it is somebody that's actually a love interest that or appears to be a love interest, legitimate love interest, and they think they have a relationship with this person. During this multi-agency operation, all the victims were on the track, a term used to describe a known location for commercial sex trafficking. We did arrest one individual on state charges for human trafficking, but we also started new investigations into additional traffickers. Currently, the FBI has 86 human trafficking task forces across the country. I'm Gina Silva.
So that's an example of the statewide circuit. In Tracy, there were 39 in this community, 39 kids just a few years ago, a couple years ago, that were rescued. In Turlock, we just had 17 to 19 kids that were rescued. These are kids that are caught up in the game, and we have an average of 3 new survivors that we serve every single week. New, in addition to all of the survivors that we're currently serving. This is an example of the statewide circuit, so it's very much real. And then this would be right here where we're at right now, the local circuit. So it'd be Sacramento down to Stockton, Modesto, Fresno. Tracy is, of course, across on the 205, San Jose, San Francisco. This is the local circuit. So what happens is these kids are coerced through violence, trickery, and manipulation into the game, and then they're moved every single night. The intent is to disorient them so they don't have a clue what city that they're in. Our girls can tell you, not just girls, but our survivors can tell you the color of the uniform, the patch that's on the shirt of the purchasers that would come and use and abuse them multiple times over their lunch hour while they're being moved as a part of this evil industry. So that's part of the local. As you know, we're part of all 3, the national circuit, we're part of the statewide circuit, and we're part of the local circuit. So a little bit of data about us so you can kind of understand a little bit what we do. 887 kids that we have served to date. 887 have been rescued out of being sex trafficked, sexually exploited since we began in 2010. And there's more because this was put up there just several weeks ago. 100% of those were sex trafficked or sexually exploited. 91% of them call right here their home. So they're on our baseball teams. They go to our churches. Like I said, they attend our schools. They live in our neighborhoods. 98% of them call California their home. So these are real human beings. It's really easy to think, well, 887, and we're just one agency. And if those are the ones that have been rescued, how many more out there need to be? And once they're rescued, that's really the police job. That's you guys collaborate, communicate, get it out there. They do the rescuing. We then step in and we try to help in the long game with these guys. The youngest one that we've served is 11. You can see it says that up there. 11-year-old boy. This child was removed from his mom because she wasn't capable of caring for him. She was going down a dark path. So the CPS removed him and thought it would be wise to place him with his grandmother. Well, his grandmother had a meth addiction, and so she'd dress up her grandson as a little girl, and she would sell him to deviant, evil, aggressive men 5, 6, 7 times every night, and they would use and abuse him so that she could fund her meth addiction. And this happened for over a period of over a year. He was finally rescued, and we're working with him 11 years old. These stories I could share with you over and over and over again of it's not snatch and grab. Oftentimes it's familial. Oftentimes it can be a boyfriend pimp in various ways. And that's what you want people to understand. I know it's uncomfortable, guys. I get it. You start thinking about your own kids and grandkids. You're like, after something like this, oftentimes, especially in our 2-hour presentations, people are like, I'm never letting my child leave the house again. And I can completely understand that my job is not to bring paranoia to you, just awareness so that we can do something about this together. These are some stories, some quotes from some of our survivors. One young lady said, my life had become a bargaining tool in order to stay alive. And I think to myself, how broken down psychologically did she have to be to come to that conclusion about her life? How about this one? I needed to meet a $700 quota a night. This was a 15-year-old girl. And she didn't say it like she was scared. She said, I needed to meet a $700 quota a night. Yeah, of course. How do you get to that place that you think that you have to, for $50 a trick, you have to meet that, what? Totally psychologically broken, that she was targeted, she was groomed. I owed him for allowing me to live another day. It just infuriates me. It makes me very angry when I start thinking about things like this. So how? What are the trafficking methods? The National Center for Missing and Exploited Children that we collaborate with, they have shared with us, and we have discovered this to be true in our region, that the trafficking methods are 4 ways primarily. The familial, that would be the grandmother, like I said. Oftentimes there's dads that will say to their daughter, I can't pay the rent, need you to take off your shirt and your bra, you're gonna dance around, and we'll make $400, we'll be able to pay the rent this month. Well, you're gonna have rent due next month too. And it's a slippery slope, but it's an evil exploitation that happens. Gang activity is very real, and gangs require something from you. If you're going to be part of this organization, this family, and you're going to get the protection thereof, you have to resource. You've got to provide, what do you have to offer to us? And oftentimes it's only their bodies. Buyer perpetrated, that would be where John would go directly to a young lady or a young man, hence the coach example that I gave you earlier, and offer something of value in exchange for a sex act. But the biggest one that we deal with is the Romeo Juliet. This would be the boyfriend pimp. This is the grooming that takes place. And this is a nutshell of how it happens. You probably heard on the news, maybe you didn't, but in Turlock just a few weeks ago, there was a 16-year-old boy that was arrested, not for being trafficked, but for being the trafficker, 16 years old. He was selling his, I really can't say a whole lot of details, selling somebody else in his school for sex. And through coercion and manipulation, got her to give herself, because she felt like she loved him. Not the one that was purchasing, the multiple people that purchased, but her boyfriend. She would do anything for him because he loves me, because he has a need, because he has a financial need. It's coercion. It's pretty vile. And so the boyfriend pimp, the Romeo Juliet trafficking method, is extremely popular. I remember being in junior high. I don't know anybody that ever says junior high was the bomb, right? Loved my junior high years, want to go back. Nobody says that, right? Because you're awkward and feel weird and you feel like an outcast. And so a junior high kid just comes into the freshman year of high school and she feels awkward and she feels like an outcast, like she doesn't belong anywhere, doesn't have a group. There's a a trafficker, an older guy who might be 22, 23 years old, that has a girlfriend at the high school, and that's his bottom bitch. That's his bottom B, is what we'll call her. She's the one that actually works for him as the top one in his stable of girls, as he's developing his herd of prostitutes, of trafficking victims. And so she, as a senior in high school, approaches the freshman because she's targeted her, sees there's vulnerabilities. She's alone. She's got ugly shoes on. Hey, girl, sitting by yourself? Come on, you can sit with me. There's no reason to sit by yourself. You know, you are so pretty. And she's starting to feel good about herself a little bit. She's got somebody who's taking some interest in her. It seems normal, and it's an older student in school. Start sitting together, have lunch together, start hanging out together. Girl, I notice you have those ugly shoes on. You deserve to have so much better shoes than that. And she wants better shoes. She always has. She wants to fit in. She wants to look better. And she said, I got a way that you can get some really nice looking shoes. And so she sees a vulnerability. And what's the vulnerability? In this case, the vulnerability is poverty. She sees that she doesn't have what, it might be perceived poverty, right? Mom and dad might not be poor. They might just be like, we're not getting you those shoes, right? But she perceives that she's poor. And this girl can help her to get somewhere else. And so they don't go straight into, I need you to do this for this 35-year-old man that's going to show up. They don't get right into that. It's slow, it's progressive. And that's the game of Romeo and Juliet. You can fill in the blanks, and there's all kinds of steps. By the way, the girl is working with other girls at the same time, and she feels like she's like the general, but she's still got to sell herself 4 or 5 times a night, while everybody else is 6 or 7 times a night, because they're all under his spell, or else they're under his violence. So what are some of the warning signs? How can we identify these kids? So see, these are some of the warning signs to pay attention to. If all of a sudden a child is truant, they're not there when they were there, something's up. It might not be trafficking, but something is wrong. We pay attention to that. I was just I did a conference yesterday for a bunch of administrators in San Joaquin County. And one of them had taken our presentation. We do it every year with them to keep them up to snuff. And they had started paying attention to child's files a lot more. And I'm so pleased to share with you that one child was rescued out of out of sex trafficking right in San Joaquin County only because an administrator, vice principal, said, there's something up here. And I remember. And so they started sifting through their file and realized some facts about this child that weren't right. And so they investigated, they brought in the campus security, brought in the police. They went and found the child right in the middle of being raped. And hopefully she can be saved. If they seem disoriented, if they seem drugged, oftentimes they might seem excessively tired because they've been up and been working. Inappropriate clothing for the weather situation, oftentimes trying to hide the bruises or the tattoos, the branding that takes place when you become one of the herd members, one of the stable members of the trafficker. Oftentimes they'll tattoo you in places under the tongue, the back of the neck, on the thigh, somewhere, but you get a brand on you because you're now owned by them. Malnourished, or we see them eating as if ravenous. They just sit down and food's put in front, they suck it up. Now that could be a regular teenager too, right? But it could also be a sign that something is up. Sudden changes in their attire or their behavior. All of a sudden they're acting polarly different than they had before. Their possessions, now they've got nice clothes or a cool jacket, and you're like, I know their family can't afford that. There might be something up. It might not be. It might be grandma sent them a jacket, but it might be something to pay attention to. If they're withdrawn, depressed, fearful, sudden noises make them jump that don't make everybody else jump. It's a PTSD response. Something's wrong. We don't know if it's trafficking, but something's up. You need to pay attention to it. If they're crying, emotional, of course, that could just be a teenager. I raised 4 teen daughters at the same time. I understand that, but it could be something else. If they have a controlling friend, this is a big one. If you see a child that has more than one cell phone, something's up with that. They don't need 2 cell phones. One would be their personal communication, probably with their family and their friends, but the other one is, baby, I love you so much. We got to have a love hotline, just you and me. This is just our phone that we talk together with. And it starts off with, oh, you know, she's blown away because, you know, he's my soulmate. And the reality is it's just a step toward controlling her and manipulating her, and nobody can find out what it is they're talking about. So these are just some warning signs. I gave you a flags and tactics card on your table. There's also more at the back table. If you want to pick some up for your team members, these are things that you can keep on your desk, you can pay attention to, you can keep in your purse for your own family, share them. You can get on the website and you can get all of our resources. Of course, everything is absolutely free and available, including a shameless plug, a family resource guide. How do you talk to your kids about trafficking? How do you have the conversation about sex trafficking? It's hard enough to talk to your kids about sex, let alone about sex trafficking. How do you do that? And when do you start? That information is available for you, withoutpermission.org. You can take a look at that. Here's a video. We're going to do some Q&A here in just a moment as my time is running short, but I'd like to play this video for you. This is a short video that will help you.
Sex trafficking. I want to say I was about 17 years old. I was 15. I was 17 years old. You thought about your trafficker when you first met? It was actually not a him. It was a her, and I felt that person was a friend. I met him through Snapchat. I just, I would watch his stories, whatever. He would watch my stories, and he ended up swiping up on my stories. We started talking, and that's when everything started. After I met my friend, she kind of led me on down this path that kind of just put everything out of control. And at that time, I believed of her as like a big sister. Like I trusted her a lot with everything, and she betrayed me. They teach you not to trust anybody. They teach you, police are not there to help you. They're the enemies. They teach you, not to talk to your friends because they won't understand you and they're not going to want to be your friend once they know what you're doing. They're not going to want to help you. You can't trust them. The only person you can trust is the trafficker.
Out of 19 years, I still feel the brokenness and pain in my body from the violence every day.
I still have nightmares sometimes. I would think of my trafficker just as a manipulator, someone that's very evil, selfish, I don't know, a sociopath, most definitely. I see him now, just a liar, someone that likes to mess with your mind to get, to benefit himself. I felt like things aren't over with him, even though that's how I wanted it to be.
Do you feel safe?
No, I do not. My experience without permission, I would say you guys were basically like my life jacket. I was always being used for something and they didn't want to use me at all. They wanted to help me and they didn't want anything in return. And that's something that I really took to heart and appreciated. I've just been able to heal. I've been able to understand more. And they've just helped to empower me and support me.
Now I'm able to be confident and have a smile on my face and be happy because I know that I am strong. And Without Permission has taught me that.
Without Permission helped me know that I was a victim, an innocent victim that was targeted by people who knew what they were doing. What happened to me doesn't define me. I learned that I can take my story and show the world that you can go through all this stuff and come out the other side bright, shiny, and new. When you're trying to change and you want it so bad, it's easy to fall back and get sucked back up into that lifestyle. It's really easy, and it's a hard battle that you have to have with yourselves. You guys have done everything in your power to make sure that I grew from this experience and I was able to, come out and not be a statistic of going back into the life, and I was able to make myself into the woman that God knows I could be.
Two of those survivors that you heard from have been through restoration and worked really hard, and we don't exploit our survivors any further. So we don't show their faces, and we don't ask them to do public presentations. We ask them to, if they want to tell their story, that's entirely up to them, but they've got the power. What had been removed from them was control. They had no choice in their life. Now they've got all the power, they've got all the choice, and they get to choose for everything. The two of them now travel the state, and they do share as survivor leaders. They're on our staff, and they're able to connect with survivors and help them. So their story is being flipped, kind of like my wife's story. Her story was flipped as well. She's now the director of a counseling center that serves hundreds of clients on a weekly basis and oversees many counselors. And so God, in our humble opinion, has transformed her and helped her as we want to help other people live a better life. So your collaboration, your cooperation in all that you do is paramount. It's paramount to helping us end this thing. So we want to end this thing with you, and we appreciate so much your time. There's a couple of resources. If you're in the area, you can snap this picture. I actually think these are on the card that I gave you as well, but what do you do if you see it? Well, many of you are in that response thing. So people are going to be calling, and they're going to be asking for help. We tell them, call the police. Don't call our hotline if you see human trafficking happening. Call the police right away. And we need to make sure that they get dispatched over and over and over again. Sheriff's Department, Police Department personnel have told us we would rather get 20 calls that are unfounded than miss the one that is founded. So yeah, we appreciate all that you do if you work with law enforcement and so forth. Also pay attention. We work with an organization called Truckers Against Trafficking, and we collaborate with them. I just to help them with a conference. We're trying to make sure that people are resourced, so we're putting truckers out there that are communicating as well if they see something happening at these. It's not just the truck stops though. The biggest way to communicate that they're exploiting our kids is through the cell phone that you have in front of you or on your pocket. It's digital exploitation. So we have resources that can help with that, help parents have the conversation. You can contact us. And I always like to conclude with a quote that I think is pretty powerful. I am only one, but I am one. I cannot do everything, but I can do something. And because I cannot do everything, I will not refuse to do the something that I can do. Well, that concludes our Human Trafficking 101 presentation today, and I'm so grateful. Are there any questions that you might have for me? And of course, people are watching on YouTube, so they're going to ask you to talk on the microphone. But does anybody have any questions that maybe I could try to address or give you some resources that would help you? Yes, right over here, please. Thank you, sir.
Hi there. So I have friends that worked for different cities, like Rancho Cordova in the Sacramento area. And in her capacity, she was an animal control officer. She was trained in certain things to look for, signs to look for. Does your organization offer training to folks, everyday people like us, more in depth what to look for?
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely. In fact, we do all kinds of, code enforcement is out there, right? So they've asked us to do trainings for them. So next week I have a code enforcement training with one of the counties. So whatever we can do, we offer. This is just a 101, kind of an introduction, but we have 201 and 301, which are longer, more in depth. They offer more, especially for clinical or people that are professionals. Yes, absolutely. We'd love to offer trainings. And if you'd like to get my card, you could always use that card with the office number on it and contact us, and we'll arrange whatever we can do to serve you, okay? Great question.
I'm sure none of this is free. Where do you get your funding from?
Great question. So thank you. Because we are a 501c3, a nonprofit, about 40% of our funding comes from just donations. People give us resources, a lot of times through churches and the faith community, and it doesn't matter what denomination, everybody wants to protect our children. The other 60% come from county contracts that we're able to work with, juvenile hall and probation and so forth. And we just expanded. When I became the CEO of the organization a while back, we were in one county, and now we're in 3 counties, and the need is there. The demand for people saying, come help, come serve, come offer. We're just trying to expand all the time because there's one more out there that needs help. So shameless plug, we are a nonprofit. Some of you are in the private sector. and you have funding and you have resources and you're looking for a collaboration, I would assume that this would be a great initiative for your industry, for your business to say, hey, listen, we stand behind the battle against human trafficking and this is who we support. So economically speaking, if you want to talk to me about that, see me right afterwards or call me on the number and we'll help you with that. But we appreciate any help you can give us because it's not for us, it's all for these kids. Yes.
Is there any upcoming legislation that you are looking toward or that you need any support for more strict? I'm all about putting all of these people on an island somewhere and never letting them come back to the United States of America, but that's just me. I know I'm not in charge completely, but that would be my suggestion.
So you have my vote. What are you running for? Yeah, I think we're all on the same page with that. We'd like to see stricter laws. More importantly, it's not the laws that need to change, it's the enforcement of those laws. So it's the district attorneys that need to say, we are going to prosecute, and we have to get these people put behind bars and they need to stay there longer. There were new laws in California that were passed as of January 1st that made the felony conviction longer, the duration of prison sentence longer if they're convicted of trafficking kids for sex. So we're constantly working on that new legislation, not at this juncture. The big thing is it's a generalized letter to your local congressman or woman, letting them know that I stand behind the fight against human trafficking and I have influence and I'd like to see what are you doing and asking them the question to battle against human trafficking. And I have the, if I can just be honest with you, I have the privilege of working with a lot of people, and like one legislator, let's say it that way, one politician told me, well, I'm wearing a blue suit. I'm wearing blue for the battle against human trafficking. I'm like, sir, you are a cop-out. You're doing the minimum you possibly can to help these kids. We need more than you wearing a pair of blue socks for the month of January because it's Human Trafficking Awareness Month. We need you to step up and prosecute these losers because that's going to send a message to others. So thank you for asking the question. Don't get me started, right? Yeah.
So, do you do any training for teachers and stuff like that?
Yes. Just yesterday, I did a training for, we do. The answer is yes. Just yesterday at San Joaquin County, I did a training at the San Joaquin Office of Education for all of their administrators and their school therapists and counselors, teachers. These are people that can identify. People say, well, these kids aren't going to school. They're dropouts. No. If they're being trafficked, as I think we talked about in this sense, familial by their family still send them to school because they want to look normal. But we need to identify what in the world, how can we rescue these kids and get them out of the situation that they're in? So it's a great question. Yeah. Anything else before you guys have an awesome lunch? Yes, sir.
So what's keeping you from expanding further than just those 3 counties you're in right now?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. In order to do what we do, we can't hire enough staff. So when I said we have 18 staff members, 45 navigators. Navigators are the ones that are trained. They're volunteers. They're you that have a heart for this, that say, I want to be front lines working with survivors. So our navigators man our 24-hour crisis line, which is unique to each county. Our navigators are the ones that go out in the middle of the night when police call and have to show up boots on the ground within 2 hours. They're thoroughly trained as volunteers on a rotation basis and availability basis to get out there. And then once they make contact with the survivor, we walk with them for as long as it takes. We're walking with survivors that are well into their 30s now because we're going to keep as a mentoring relationship, staying connected with them as long as it takes for them to feel like they're fully functional. So what does it take? It takes resources and it takes volunteers. In every county, it takes people saying, enough, I want to be a part of the solution. Yeah. Great question. Any other questions? I know this is hard. This is not an easy subject to talk about, but I'm so very grateful that you stuck around and you dialed in. And I just really pray and hope that you got some information and resources that will avail you to be a help to solving this and eradicating sex trafficking in our nation. God bless you guys.
Dang. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Appreciate it. Is this on? Well, lunch is ready, so we're going to go ahead and have lunch now. And once it looks like everybody has their food, we'll be doing the raffle. And then after that, frequency coordination and operations.